Welcome to the wild world of the diagnostic laboratory industry, where we focus on science, compliance, sales, marketing, and self-mastery. Welcome to Lab Results with Blake. I'm your host, Blake Bork. Do you ever not even know the right questions to ask? Like, you got yourself in a situation and you're so in over your head that you literally don't even know the right questions to ask. I have been in that situation more times than I can count. Last time I remember it being so, I'd say, overwhelming and panicked. And panic literally and that feeling of overwhelming is just us not being prepared for what's about to happen. That's a complete lack of preparation. It's actually whenever I got into the lab business. Whenever I was, a lot of people got their start in the lab business. Maybe they were a tech, they were an MT, they went to college. They started working maybe in a sessioning or in a shipping department. Maybe they were a sales rep that worked for another laboratory and they came in on the ground floor. They learned, they got promoted. Maybe they came over from another medical sales field. I was the CEO of my first laboratory without ever knowing how to actually run a lab. I Googled it on eHow, how to start a toxicology laboratory. That's how I got into this business. And through pain and anguish and problem solving and frustration and a workaholic, alcoholic, moneyaholic, being addicted to trying to do what's hard always. And honestly, in the land of the problem solver, the problem creator is king, and I was king. But I remember praying for somebody to come just to tell me the right questions to ask, because I literally did not know what the hell I was doing. So much so that I didn't even know what to question. And so I got inspired, people. I got a present. I got a gift for you. I am writing down I'm basically writing down the top 10 questions for gatekeepers of different specialties. I'll probably end up with like 40 or 50 questions for gatekeepers. I'm attacking it from 3 different places. I'm doing one for the phone, 10 questions for the phone. I'm doing 10 questions for social media, being able to connect with gatekeepers and clinicians on social media. It's real. It happens. It's effective. I'll show you how. And then 10 questions on face-to-face. You come into an office and you got to deal with that person face-to-face. How do you connect with them? The questions are meant to open doors, not only in real life, but also in your own mind. Like, you should be able to take this and now know, okay, I see where he's going with this. There's a trend here. This is an example question. It may not work for every situation that you're ever in, but it should work for you to develop more questions. And then I'm giving you the real gift. I'm breaking down 20 different specialties, and I'm actually going to have 10 questions, clinical questions, to open up clinical conversations with providers about patient care. Specifically, I'm starting with molecular diagnostics. I'm also going to give you a background on culture and sensitivity, a background on PCR testing, where they're each used individually in case studies, and then how they can be used in combination therapy in case studies. And I'm going to give you 60 case studies for each of the 20 specialties. So I'm combining all of this in something that I'm loosely calling right now questionology, the art and science of asking questions in healthcare. And it's so that way you who are out there trying to collide with doctors and trying to improve patient care, you got the right questions to ask, because questions are the power. You can go in there and tell somebody something to do all day long. They won't do it until they understand why they're doing it. So when we ask questions, we're planting seeds of doubt inside of that status quo, right? If you are following me since I did the collision-based sales training, you realize we're asking permission. We're colliding with a worldview. We're planting those seeds of doubt. And ultimately, we want those seeds of doubt to sprout so that way they'll be compelled to action on their own accord, not because we just told them to do it. So yeah, I'm doing that for you. You can thank me later by liking, subscribing, sharing the podcast. But also I'm doing it because I want to have a conversation with my salespeople, man. We're creating a community. We need a spot where diagnostic laboratory salespeople can actually come to, and they can share ideas, and they can drop problems that they're having, and they should be able to get advice from other diagnostic laboratory sales reps. A Facebook type community where our people can come and they can get help, because I cannot tell you how many labs are out there that don't actually, they have 2 or 3 sales reps, but they have no leader. They have 8 to 10, 15 sales reps, and they have a leader, but that person doesn't know what to do either. They were a nice person that got promoted to management because they were a bad salesperson, but they were a good person. They were bad at sales, but they were a good person. So let's make them a manager, because, well, at least they'll make sure people show up for the sales meeting that nobody's getting coached on. No one's getting challenged on. And effectively, this nice person who was bad at sales is ultimately going to be a bad sales manager who's bad at being a sales manager. It's probably going to get promoted to CEO because they're a visionary. They can see things, right? We end up promoting mediocrity because they're nice. And so I'm sorry, if you're that salesperson who's got promoted to sales manager and you look at yourself in the mirror and you know you're not good enough, there's hope, because you can get this book too. You can get this training too. You can commit to being better at leading people by first leading yourself. That's how it works. So if you find yourself in a job where you're leading people, but you're having a hard time leading yourself, if you find yourself scared to go with your salespeople on calls because you don't know how to show them what to do, if you just find yourself in this position where like you have so much anxiety around your day-to-day job, you're petrified that they're going to call on you in a meeting. You don't want to talk out loud. You are struck with imposter syndrome. You are guilty because you don't think you deserve to be in the seat. I feel you. I felt the same way. And what I found is training is everything, and everything is training. Your patients, your providers owe you to be the best that you possibly can be. And if you're not training every day to be able to accomplish those targets, to hit those targets and accomplish those goals, then you are, well, your patients and providers are going to suffer because of you. You're the cause of the mediocrity. And not a lot of people want to hear that, but it's the truth. So every day we get better or we get worse. We never stay the same. Joe Kleinpeter in high school beat that into my head. Every day, Bort, you either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. And it's been in the back of my mind every day since then. We wake up for greatness, right? And then mediocrity just happens. So it's your opportunity to be able to control your choices, for you to decide, am I going to study today? Am I going to practice today? Am I going to pitch today? You know, am I going to write an email today? Am I going to do a LinkedIn post today? Am I going to do the podcast today? Am I going to lead my teams with purpose, or am I going to lead them with ego? Am I going to cover up the shit that I said I was going to do? Or am I just going to be honest with everybody, redo my priorities, and only do the things that I say I'm going to do? It's a mindset shift. We all go through it. And so 3 different levels here. You own a laboratory and you're like, my salespeople need to sell more. Cool. You need to support them inside of training. You need to be willing to develop them. You need to be willing to have processes and systems in place that make it easier for them to be able to gain trust. You need to have marketing. You need to have things that look right. It's hard for us as salespeople to go in and have people trust us when what we're selling looks disjointed and out of place. If your website is disjointed, if you have no social media, if your requisition form is clustered, if your report is complicated, if you have no brochures, if you don't have a billing number, if you don't have a billing policy, how in the world are your sales team going to sell you? It's impossible. Unless there's some type of compliance issue, then it's easy. And you get to sleep on that soft pillow. So, as we're looking at the second level of this, we have our sales leadership. Sales leaders. This is something that there's a community for you, man, where you can come and you can listen to the problems that sales reps are going to have and issues that they're going to have. And you yourself can get trained on how to lead people, starting by leading yourself. And you can educate yourself, and you can be able to attach yourself clinically in these conversations and look for these opportunities and these obstacles to obviate them. You can see the reality that your salespeople are experiencing, and you can predict results with a method. You turn to education and you look at how can we execute today? Like, that's sales leadership. And then you have the third level, which is the sales rep, and you being prepared to go into every provider, the specialty, understanding these are 10 questions that are going to open up the clinician's mind. These are 3 case studies going to allow me to be able to show examples of how this works. And you understand the science and the compliance. You get the sales and the marketing because you're being supported and you know how to close now, right? The self-mastery is something that you practice in the morning. And so with that, we're going to be rolling this out very, very soon. We're finishing it this week. It'll be up on LinkedIn. It'll be up on its own website. It'll have its own funnel. We look forward to talking to you, seeing comments and thoughts from you. I'm bringing in a new marketing agency to actually help me with my own branding and help me with my messaging. So look more for that, man. With this podcast right here, this is my ability to get the message to you about, ways that I've found I better myself in throughout life, and where I've been able to find results inside of my life. So hope it's resonating with you. Like it, subscribe to it, share it. Help me out. I hope it's helping you. You guys have a great day. You've been listening to Lab Results with Blake, with your host, Blake Bork. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Remember, greatness is contagious.